name is Mary Golick. Welcome back to my series about surviving domestic abuse and, more importantly, shaping my sense of identity after leaving that relationship. All of us can recover from loss pretty well to a certain extent. But when loss becomes more intense and more frequent, it hits a lot harder and becomes harder to recover from. The part about leaving my relationship that was the hardest was the social aspect, the way it affected my relationships with my family and friends. It felt like I probably could have handled the loss from my ex, although feeling a sense of betrayal and lack of love from someone that you've been married to for several years and had kids with is a pretty big blow. I still feel like that would have been manageable compared to the sense of loss of, for a while, being left with literally nobody, losing all of your support system. And I knew it was a common occurrence with domestic abuse, but I didn't really think it would actually happen to me, where they go to the people in your support system and they tell stories about you or say things in a way that make you sound crazy or mean, and basically they spin everybody over to their side. It's a common phenomena, but it just seemed kind of absurd to me. Like, I never thought it would happen, but it did. The aftermath of close friends suddenly blocking my calls and just refusing to talk to me without any notice after years and years of close friendship was devastating and confusing and so much to process emotionally. I felt overwhelmed. After I asked for the separation for that year before we went to court, I was still working full-time as a therapist. I put my heart into my work, and I think I did good work, but I think I was probably kind of distracted too. Or maybe I was trying to use the work to distract me from how intense my real life was, how impossible it was to process and comprehend. Well, during that time, in between the separation and the divorce, while I was working full-time as a therapist, I started having increased heart flutters. You know, when you kind of feel your heart beat out of time. And it's pretty common, and it happened to me before. But they started happening very frequently, multiple times a day, and sometimes very intensely. I told my doctor that I had one that really took my breath away, and it felt like it took me a couple hours to fully recover. So she put a Holter monitor on me, which measures your heart rate for 2 days straight, and the doctor can look at the results. And they saw some increased heart rate, which is different than just your heart rate increasing during exercise. These were sudden, random increases where the heart would just go really fast for a short period all of a sudden and then return to normal. So at the age of 30 or 31, my doctor referred me to a cardiologist. When I saw the cardiologist, he prescribed a medication for me, and that turned out to be a really good thing because this medication is also helpful for Raynaud's syndrome, which is also a condition that I experience. So about this time, we started preparing to go to court, and that brought a whole new wave of stress in, not just from going to court, but because testimony started coming in. Testimony that he had gotten from my social circle to support him and talk about what a great person he is and what a good parent. And I didn't have people to support me and talk about what a great parent I was. Around this time, I met somebody special. Somebody came into my life who now I think might be my twin flame. But at the time, they were just a special friend and also kind of a chaotic, passionate relationship that I didn't know what to make of. One night, I had a dream that I was just feeling the emotions of abandonment, particularly the feelings around feeling betrayed by my best friend. Someone that I'd been friends with for, 8-10 years. And suddenly that relationship was not only gone, but these people weren't just leaving me. They weren't just leaving or ending the relationship. They were siding against me with my abuser, with the person that had hurt me. It was a huge, huge betrayal. So in my dream, I was feeling those feelings just like you would in real life. It felt like me feeling betrayal and abandonment and feeling sad and hurt. And then the dream changed. I was walking on a path with my special friend by the water, and suddenly I grabbed my chest and I fell down on the ground. And then he kneeled down beside me to look at me and see how I was doing and show concern. And when I woke up, my chest hurt. And it hurt pretty bad. It felt really tight and sore. And it didn't really get better for about 6 hours, about half of the day or so. And so somebody suggested to me that I go to the doctor. So I made an appointment and I went in 2 or 3 days later. He ran a test, my cardiologist. I think it was an echocardiogram, but I don't remember for sure. And he looked at the results and he told me it wasn't a heart attack, but it also wasn't nothing. He called it a heart spasm, and he explained thoroughly exactly what that means, but I'm still not sure I totally understand. It's similar in some ways to a heart attack, but it's not quite a heart attack. He prescribed me nitroglycerin in case it happens again. when I was sitting with my cardiologist, after he explained all this to me, I said to him, I just feel like my heart is literally breaking. Like it's breaking from all the emotion. And he looked at me and he nodded. And he said that definitely happens. He said, I see that happen. And I felt really validated. And I felt cared for by my medical team, and I'm really grateful to them because I know people have a lot of horror stories about doctors. It's hard to communicate how painful those emotions were. But I feel like if I say that it caused my heart rate to change and for me to have a sudden cardiac event, that kind of communicates how much strong emotion my body was trying to process. And maybe some people out there know what that's like. So for a while I felt totally alone. No mom to call or sister for support or girlfriends to encourage you. There was no one. But eventually that did change. The first light was when I finally reached out to my local abused adult resource center. And I had thought in my mind for a long time that the relationship was abusive. And I had told myself that that's what it was, but I was a little insecure thinking that other people wouldn't necessarily see it that way. So when I finally got the courage to go to the center, I was a little bit nervous. I told my story to an advocate, and I cried. And they gave me information for the weekly group that they held, the survivors group. And I went the next time they had it. And I thought, this is the final test, because I knew that the women who were there had been through it, and they had. I listened to their stories that night, and they involved dramatic elements of weapons and hospitalizations and police involvement. And I told bits and pieces of my story, and they listened respectfully, and they honored my story, and they supported me. And one woman cried because it was so similar to what she had been through. It's a common theme with abusers and victims that the victim will suffer some type of injury or illness, and that the abuser will just show no type of regard or concern, often even criticizing the victim while they're injured. And in my case, it was a hemorrhage after delivering my 4th baby. I had severe blood loss. After that, I went on a solo trip to Charleston for my cousin's wedding. And at that point, I was ready for a little bit of adventure and to go scorched earth. Coincidentally, on the airplane, I sat between 2 women who were friends. I'm not sure why their seats were on either side of me, but I sat between them, and they had both been through similar situations to my own. And they were doing much better when I met them. They were very happy. And they just gave me a lot of encouragement, and they talked to me about the power of manifesting your perfect person, your perfect partner. And at that point, I was starting to suspect that my special friend was my special person. But I didn't know for sure, and at either rate, I did believe in what they said about manifesting. So I sort of made a commitment on that trip that I was going to make the life I wanted. I did put myself out there online. That led to a bunch of dead ends and ghosting and just overall disappointment. But that experience did bring something. I ended up getting tea with a beautiful woman I met on Tinder, and that woman ended up becoming my best friend. And little by little, one by one, I started filling in the empty spaces that had been left behind. And greenery started to grow in the ashes of my life that had been burned to the ground. But I couldn't shake the paranoia that I would lose it all again. I'd build it up, and even if it took 10 years, that ultimately everybody would leave. So I just came to a commitment that it didn't matter. My friendships don't have to come with lifetime guarantees, because now I trust myself to be there at the end of it all, no matter what happens. I choose to be there for myself and to keep going. Just a note on my old friends and my family. I don't expect them to see me happy or successful in the next phase of life and for them to be jealous or feel guilty or want to reignite a relationship. I expect them to be as indifferent to my joy as they were indifferent to my pain. I don't think there's anything I can do to win them back, and I'm not going to try. I don't think there's anything that I could do that would impress them. As I move forward into my next phase, I choose to bring along people who are in a similar path, who experience those same types of feelings and hopes, and who are also seeking their highest good. When I left my husband, I didn't realize it at the time, but it's because I was seeking something. I didn't know what it was, and I didn't want to leave my family or friends or any of the things that I had at the time. But I didn't realize that what I was seeking required me to lose all those people, and it required me to find something else. I desired the connections that I have now, the relationships that I have now, and just having that desire was enough to get me to where I am now.